All right, it's game time. There's a big game that we're all engaged in today, and that's that game called life. We've all gotten to this game right here on this spot. Some of us have had great hardship in getting to this moment today. Some of us had a lot of moments that perhaps we thought we wouldn't make it. Maybe this day wasn't even a thought ever for any of us. But somehow, some way, we were able to make it through the triumphs, the tribulations that it took to get here. It's a culmination day. This is a day when all things come together. The big game is always that day. It's the day that we come to bear, the first day that we sat down with our mom and our dad and we threw a football before we go play that big game. It recalls all of those moments. It recalls all of those sessions. It recalls the sweat that it took with the people that we love to be able to do that. But most of all, there's something that drives the greatest of them. And what drives the greatest of them are the moments that perhaps weren't so good. The moments that were moments of failure. The moments that were moments of great hardship. The moments that were moments that brought us to our knees, that brought us to tears, that we didn't know if we could take the next step, that we didn't know if the next day would be promised, that we didn't know if this moment would ever happen. And it's from those moments that not only did we survive, but it's from those moments that we now thrive. It's from those moments that we are able to not only take the next step, but take that next step boldly. It is what allows us to be free. It is what allows us to be the person that we were made to be. Vagine Hyslop. She is the daughter of a young man named Eric Hyslop and his wonderful wife, Lindsay. Eric was my Muscular Dystrophy Association camper for 15 years, a few years back. It's a program that I take my players to so that we can experience real life, so that perhaps we can help someone who sits in a wheelchair or someone who doesn't have the usage of their muscles every single day like perhaps big bad football players think that they do. Perhaps it brings us to a level where we understand what it is to be human, to not always be looked at in the spotlight and have people cheer for us. As one of our MDA campers said one year, I would die to run onto the field through the smoke to the thrill of the crowd. And he truly meant that he would die to do that. There was a moment years ago that we allowed that young man to do just that, as his counselor went back to get him, rolled him onto the field in his wheelchair in front of the whole team to the thrill of the crowd. The improbability of Vagine Hyslop was because Eric Hyslop, from age 6 when I got to know him, was a young man diagnosed with Becker's muscular dystrophy. The most dangerous and deadly form of muscular dystrophy is Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, and Becker's is a smaller version of that. He was a young man that when I first was his counselor, didn't even understand what that was, didn't understand what that disease was, didn't understand what it would mean for his next days. We spent year after year after year, kept in great touch. He was able to come down to Tampa and watch our games. He followed all of our players. We went to professional games together, and every year we just talked about being able to fight the good fight every single day, no matter what that took. And from a scared, quiet child at age 6, 7 years old, who came from small means, but came from a lot of love, as a young man who somewhere along the line, when he became a teenager and then beyond, decided I'm going to go for it. Decided there's not going to be anything that's going to hold me down. And with the help of continued research and dollars that have been funneled into research, he's a young man today who is actively working. He is tremendously healthy. And he is married with a beautiful daughter, Vagine Hyslop. A life that they thought would never be able to fulfill itself to any kind of normalcy that we would know. but a young man who would not allow that to happen under any circumstance. You see, as Tom Wingo said in The Prince of Tides, I'm a teacher and a coach and a well-loved man, and that's more than enough for me. People sometimes complain about there are not enough dollars thrown at teachers and you don't make enough money. You've never heard that come out of my mouth, because what I've been paid is something that I could never give enough gratitude to, something that I could never repay back. As I started in the pregame speech, that's what I do every single day. I stand to inspire and to motivate. But what I found is that I am 100-fold inspired by the people I work with. I am 100% motivated by those that I see every single day, overcoming difficulties and reaching their best selves, finding the freedom within their lives to be the best that they could possibly be. Because these things that are very meaningful to us, none of them could be accomplished if we can't do them in connection with one another. As Coach Robert Weiner at the Plant Panthers football program, we've won 4 state championships. We've been there 6 times in the last 13 years. We've been to the state semifinals 8 years in those times. Not only that, we've had enough players, which is the only way that you win those games, that in the last 14 years, we've put 214 players into colleges to play college football. None of those numbers mean anything except for the fact that we are constantly trying to create fertile ground for our young people to be the best that they could possibly be. I would venture to say that anybody who says that I look at our younger generation and I fear for the future, I would ask them to come to my locker room. I would ask them to come to my football field and see young men who every single year go to muscular dystrophy camp to work with kids like Eric Hyslop. And their lives are touched and inspired to tears, are touched and inspired to actions. Actions that change the way they act on the football field. Actions that change the way they act in the classroom. Actions that change the way that they act in the community. Every single year, our program has a creed that we want to follow for that particular year. We have some that fit our entire program, but we have some that are just specific for that year. Our creed this year is Warrior Poets. Warrior Poets is about creating young people that have the courage to stand up in the face of what other people are sometimes doing that are tearing down. How can you redefine what's cool? How can you tell other people around you who think that destructive decisions are decisions that are cool to do? Number 1, gain a platform. How do you gain a platform in my venue? Win some football games. If I were to tell you that winning was unimportant, I'd be lying, because I wouldn't be standing here if we hadn't won some games. My first year, we went 3-7 after that 1-9 season that had been mentioned before we got there. No one asked me to do a TED Talks when we were 3-7. I say the same things then that I'm saying right now. I was an idiot then, but I'm a genius now. Far from it. But we're trying to cultivate young people who can have a warrior's code, who can understand the toughness and resiliency that it takes, can understand in a football game how to be physical, how to be emotional, how to be mental, but how to have physical, emotional, and mental toughness in all of those areas, and how to inspire other people to have the same. But we don't want just those warriors, those gridiron heroes that are going to put on helmets and pads and go out and bash each other. We also want poets. We also want gentlemen. We also want people off the field who have a tender touch. We want people who can elevate themselves to the sublime. We want people who can exist in some kind of dignity and nobility that will allow them to exist just beyond the normal pugilistic idea of what a warrior is. And we're not satisfied with just one of those in any of our players. We want both, because both is what leads to personal freedom. Personal freedom, we feel, is the most important thing that you could possibly have. The fertile ground and the ability to be your very best self. No one gets to the point where we are tonight unscathed. We don't have to go looking for those challenges in our lives. They're going to find us. That's what it is to be human. At all different levels, sometimes at different costs, and sometimes with different consequences. But all of us get on the other side of that with an opportunity to still be our best selves. We have to free ourselves of the guilt and the blame that come along with some of those challenges that are in our lives. We have to allow ourselves to be able to pursue those things that are truly worthy, that are truly dignified of who it is that we are as a human being. That's what personal freedom is. This quote, Warrior Poets, comes from the movie Braveheart, and the last word in that movie is freedom. And perhaps maybe even he was jingoistically talking about national freedom, but I really think that he was talking about personal freedom. The freedom to be the best that we can possibly be. There is no better feeling in the world, and there is no greater pursuit than the freedom to be the best that we can be for a greater goal outside of ourselves. Football is just a small microcosm of that. We try to get our players to understand that you're working as hard as you possibly can for the glory of your football team, for the glory of your football family, for the enrichment of your family, for memories that you will create that you will remember for a lifetime. And that allows you freedom to go through many of the great joys and many of the incredible challenges that you have, both on the football field and off the football field. We, like any company, we have a mission statement. The mission of Plant Panthers football is to enthusiastically work and relentlessly pursue the goal of being the best we can be as a person, as a student, as a player, and as a teammate for the sake of our Plant football family. Every single one of our players has to recite that before they're allowed to put on a uniform. They have to stand in front of their teammates and say that from memory with feeling and understand what it's all about. Our mission statement has a how, it has a what, and it has a why. What is it that we are going to do? We are going to be the best that we can possibly be. For us in football, some years that means that we were the best. We won the state championship. But for some years, it doesn't mean that we were the best compared to other people. But when we shake hands and hug in that locker room at the end of the day, either in victory or in defeat, can we say that we were the best that we could possibly be? That's what the what is. There is nothing in our mission statement that talks about victory. Our mission statement talks about being the best that we could possibly be. We can't ask for any more. The best that we can possibly, first and foremost as a person. First and foremost as a person. Secondly, as a student. Third, as a player. Fourth, as a teammate. How are we going to do that? We are going to enthusiastically work and relentlessly pursue those goals. There's no other way to get to it. You cannot get to the great goals in your life by being there halfway. Halfway will get you less than halfway to your goal. There's only one way to get there, and that's to enthusiastically work and relentlessly pursue. And then there's a why. Why are we going to do that? There has to be a greater purpose. We have many young people here today, but there are many other people who have families and have children. You understand your why. When you're on a football team, our why has to not be that we're going to get a scholarship at the end of the day. Has to not be that we get to hang out with the cheerleaders at the end of the game. Has to not be all of these other perks that might come along it. That why has to be first and foremost All those other things might be byproducts. First and foremost, for us to do this for the sake of our plant football family, to do it for one another, to do it for a greater purpose. We think that one day down the road, maybe for someone like Eric Hyslop, that perhaps those messages when someone's a teenager will seep in. So when they become young people that move back out into society, they will be able to infuse their best self for the sake of the world a better place. Thank you so much.